going on, y'all? Welcome to the MTG Homebrew Network, where we build homebrews, talk about magic, and just spend time with the homies. Happy y'all are here. Welcome to the show.
Nice.
Thank you, Kyle.
Of course.
Do we want to introduce each other?
Sure. What do you guys think?
I call introducing Ryan.
I call introducing Kyle.
All right.
I'll introduce Brad.
Sure.
And I'll introduce Kyle.
Easy.
Wait, who did introduce Alex?
I will.
Okay.
I guess let's introduce ourselves, I guess. I don't know.
That's a better idea.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably better.
One can only truly know themselves.
I had a really good idea for Brad. I was just gonna... I won't spoil it, though.
Oh,
That's fair.
Good.
All right, you want to go first?
Keep your secrets.
Yeah.
Keep your secrets.
Check. Oh, okay. All right. I'm Ryan. I put all this together, I guess. I've been playing Magic for like 10 years. 10 years? 2013. Yeah, 10 years. So I started playing in like Return to Ravnica era. And then that was like just kitchen table, you know, like how people usually start is playing with friends around the kitchen table. My first deck was a tokens deck from Return to Ravnica, just like a base deck. And then after that, I got into Commander because that's what everyone else was kind of getting into. And then 10 years go by, and I've played, every color, almost every deck.
Most of the formats.
Yeah, most of the formats.
A lot of the formats.
Yeah. Jack of all trades, I guess. Yeah, that's me.
All right, what's going on? It's your boy Kyle. I've been playing Magic for, I think, about 8 years now. I actually got into it with our friend Brad at the end of the couch. We had a really good time. We started out in Khan's block. My favorite set of all time is Fate Reforged. Came out with a lot of cool cards. I'm sure you guys know about Ugin. He's pretty good. I actually started out with a mono black devotion deck because Mogus's Marauder is a very good Magic card. And we just played a bunch of little dinky dudes and just getting for combat damage. It was really good. I have since delved into newer and brighter horizons, and we'll talk about it soon. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm Alex. I have been playing since sophomore year of high school. So
10 years?
Yeah, 10-ish years. Started out with just bought a bunch of white and red theme packs from my LGS.
There you go.
So I was like, dealing damage, gaining life. Why isn't everybody playing this? It's the two things you want to do.
Yeah.
And I was playing 60 card, didn't adhere to any format, just had 60 cards in it. Quickly got into Commander. Really play Commander and Tiny Leaders mostly. And yeah, that's about it.
Tiny Leaders, undersupported or undervalued format.
It's the best supported format.
Undervalued. But yeah, my name's Brad. I started playing Magic with our boy Kyle over here back in like that Khans of Tarkir. I would also say like Theros era of Magic. Yeah. My first deck was essentially an Abzan deck that was mainly good stuff. It initially started as like that 1/1 counter theme that was really big during that block, and then eventually just evolved into Abzan mid-range with all those really good like multicolor Abzan cards, like especially with one of my favorite cards ever printed, Siege Rhino. You guys will hear more about that card and my passion for that card relatively soon. I promise you that.
Yeah.
It's one of the best cards ever printed. You cannot change my mind.
It's iconic.
Y'all remember when that card cost 4 mana?
Yeah. Does everything you want it to do.
That's crazy.
But yeah, these days we play Commander. We play Tiny Leaders. I'm still like really trying to like get the Pioneer scene going. I think that's an incredible format, mainly because it starts at our era of Magic, and it's just a really cool format.
It's true.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it feels like a time capsule, you know? It was curated to be the play experience that a lot of us like kind of looked at when we were starting and being like, oh, these are like so powerful, like all these cool cards, you know?
Yeah.
Like Siege Rhino.
Yeah, like Siege Rhino. I was wondering like how deep into the episode we were going to before you mentioned Siege Rhino.
No one.
Not deep.
Right off the rip.
First thing I said.
Yeah, but I feel like Pioneer is such a good. It's an actual like an actual. I'm gonna say good format. Not throwing shade at any other format in particular.
I feel like it's like a more healthy format, a more balanced format.
It is
more variety of the format.
And it's singleton, and you could play 4-ofs, which is really cool.
It's not singleton.
Singleton. It's you could play 4-ofs and 60 card. Is what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah. It's. I've played it, tournaments a couple times. I have like a Goblin aggro deck, which is like that perfect. I get to play a bunch of different standard decks, kind of like squished into one. Because I've played mono red throughout like a ton of different standards, like the 2015 era with Goblin Rabble Master.
Oh, such a good card.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
We love Rabble Master.
Yeah,
good card.
And then I kind of smushed it together with. Throne of Eldraine mono red, which was just Embercleave tribal.
Yep.
And the synergy between those two cards
was Torbrand in Throne of Eldraine?
Yeah.
Torbrand, good match card.
Made everything into a lightning bolt because I was just playing a bunch of dorky 1/1s.
Electrickery. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Nice card.
Anger of the Gods. A lot of damage.
I don't play it because it kind of destroys me. Like I want to have things on board.
That's true. That's true.
But it is good sideboard tech against me, so maybe you should play that out there. Maybe. Yeah. But I feel like we've all kind of dipped our toes into Pioneer, like to an amount.
Speaking of Pioneer, I had 2 decks. One of them was just simply Fanatic Amogus. You guys know about Fanatic
Mono Red
Amogus?
Devotion.
It was just like Goblin Chain Whirler, Torbrand, like Wily Pirate, just the most dinky little red pips.
I love Wily Pirate.
It's like Fanatic Amogus comes out of nowhere and be like, you have 12 damage. Like, easy.
True.
I also had a Azorius Flyers list. It was just a lot of really good curve, just Azorius Flyers. And sometimes when you get like, I think it's called Imperium Eagle.
Yeah.
Yes.
The dude that
Plus
gives
one,
your
plus
flyers
one
+1/+1.
And you can just beat face. So
For sure.
Yeah, I had I still have an Abzan list that started off as Abzan Elephants. Because I've had different elephant tribal decks for years and years. And I wanted to make it in Pioneer when the format first started, and I built it and it was bad. And so I switched it up and I call it Abzan Safari, where there's no humans in the deck besides Anafenza. Anafenza is like your tour guide, and it's just a bunch of animals like rhinos and elephants and monkeys and things. But that was unbelievably fun. Arboreal Grazer. What a card.
What a beast.
Card.
my man loves Arboreal Grazer.
Ideal turn 1 play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my Pioneer deck was sort of that. One of the top decks when to Pioneer sort of came out was this Orzhov Auras list.
Oh,
because any format where you can play all that glitters and ethereal armor 4 times each is a deck
the
that
4
I want to be
times
playing
is
personally.
really brutal.
Yeah. And so you also play this little neat dude called Hateful Eidolon, which is just the perfect little attacker. Because with one attachment with one aura on him, he's just swinging, 2, maybe 3 at a time, gaining your life. But once he gets 4 auras on him, 2
turns later,
he's like a 9/10 with lifelink.
Yeah, it has lifelink on it, right?
Yeah. You have to kill him, right?
Yes.
Plot twist: you kill him, you're drawing 4 cards.
You just replace all of those, get more all that glitters.
And so you also
armors.
play cards like SRAM, which is just going to draw you a card every time you play a 1-mana aura, and it's just a really fun little deck.
That also, the deck plays dead weight too, because you enchant your opponent's things.
Enchantment removal.
Yeah. But when their creatures die, you also draw cards. So you just have replaceable removal that gets you into more
I didn't think of that. That's
really cool.
It's crazy.
This little neat uncommon from, I think, the newer Theros set.
Yeah.
Called Alcea Out of Life's Bounty. It's a 1-mana enchantment creature that says pay 1 or 2. Pretty sure it's
I think it is 1, yeah.
You sacrifice it and you give target creature protection from a color.
Unblockable.
Unblockable, protection from like single target removal, board wipes even.
Anything?
And it's an enchantment that counts towards ethereal armor and all that glitter, stuff like that.
Exactly.
That card is also really good because there's a lot of single target removal in Pioneer. And there's a lot of good single target removal.
Fatal pushes, that kind of thing.
Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah, Assassin's Trophy.
Hero's Downfall to a degree.
Yeah.
Eliminate.
Yeah.
Does Pioneer go up to like the current formats?
Yeah. It's
starts at Return.
Return to Ravnica to now with a very short ban list.
Not a big one.
Yeah.
Like fetches and a couple others besides that.
Yeah, fetches and then
Burrow. Maybe?
Yeah, like most of them like mistake cards. Like mistake. Like they power balance it really well. And there was a brief period where people were like kind of looking at Pioneer like, oh, it's that there's one combo deck and it's really good. The Inverter of Truth combo.
Inverter of Truth.
You know, that was a bad little era.
Did they ban Oracle?
They did.
Yeah.
Oracle's gone.
Didn't Inverter get gone too?
No, because Inverter wasn't a problem card. It was more Thassa.
For some reason, I thought it got banned too. I thought that got banned first and then Thassa's did.
That's what I thought. They did like flip-flopped.
Did they?
I thought they banned Inverter and then Thassa's Oracle just combo with something else and then they banned Thassa. I might be thinking of a different format or a different pair of cards.
I think it was Inverter.
Then
Thassa,
Oracle.
But,
Could be. Either way, the deck doesn't exist anymore. Because the only other like way to win the game by having no cards in your library is Jace, the Planeswalker.
Right.
And that, that's
resolving. Isn't that banned 2015?
No, that was in Innistrad.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So we don't have anything else to win the game besides those. But now Pioneer's just like the mid-range format. It's just a bunch of good stuff.
Revel and Riches says you win the game on it in Pioneer.
Yeah, but not for like having no cards in your library. That's like
fair.
10 artifacts or something. 10 treasures? Specifically treasures?
I think it's specifically treasures.
Yeah. No, there's a ton. You can search the city in Pioneer.
That's fair.
Wait, that doesn't win the game. That just makes you take an extra turn. That card sucks. Don't play that card.
Good. Oh, okay.
No, that's the most convoluted, terrible, bad extra turn card there is besides like Seed Time. But Seed Time is playable. Seed Time is that green. Yeah, it's a 1 and a green instant. If an opponent has cast a blue spell on your turn, you take an extra turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's the only green extra turn spell, which is okay.
I think that's a good number.
Yeah.
I used to play that in my Idris deck because it got so infamous in the playgroup for if you don't counter or take care of Idris in the first turn or two he's around, I just kind of pop off.
Mm-hmm.
So I play that specifically for like, if you play a counter spell, I am going to take another turn, do the exact same thing, and just try again.
Just recast
Yep.
You should play that card maybe in Rurthar.
Maybe.
It
would be cool.
That would be kind of neat. It would hurt you, but you try to give him lifelink anyways.
Yeah. If it just means replaying him and re-equipping everything.
Yeah.
So for context.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's pivot into some commander decks that we usually play, like a pet deck. If you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So I have always been a Gruul player. That's the red and green clan. I got a tattoo for it. First pre-release I ever went to was Gatecrash, and I got the Gruul pre-release kit, and they have a little letter from each clan to the player. The Gruul one was just cave drawings, which I still have. It's still funny. And then when Dragon's Maze came around, the maze runner for the Gruul clan was Rurikthar, who is a 6-mana red and green ogre warrior who says players cannot... If a player, including yourself, would play a non-creature spell, that player takes 6 damage. It's a 6/6 vigilance with reach that has to attack each combat if able. Most lists run none or very few non-creature spells because you want to mitigate damage to yourself as much as possible. And I used to have one of those lists. And then I took my deck apart to build something else. And I was like, I really miss Rurikthar. He's my boy. And I was like, I need to build him, but I'm kind of bored with every deck list I can find online for him. So I want to make something different. I want to make something new and innovative. I am going to play just Rurikthar. So on paper, every spell you play deals 6 damage to you, and you die very quickly from self-inflicted damage. But because Rurgthar is written in a way that has him dealing the damage, you equip it with a lifelink, and you take 6 damage, but you gain it back. So as long as you're above 6 life, it's like nothing happened. So it's just, you suit up Rurgthar with lifelink, and it's kind of just an artifact list. But you get to do just about whatever you want. And Seed Time would be a good card to put in there, because I also play Guttural Response, which is 1 hybrid green-red counter target blue instant spell.
Classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good insulation against all the oncoming hate, which it's already trying to like lay into.
Yeah.
Because like if you're trying to tax them for casting non-creature spells, then all of them that they cast are important.
Yeah.
So if they have to pay 12 life instead of 6 to try to get rid of the thing that's going to kill them, that's off to the races.
Off to the races.
Rurgthar's done its job.
Yeah, for sure.
And just for like context, that deck is terrifying.
That deck is very scary.
I remember a series of plays where, as a table, it was like, he has a resurrection orb. It gives lifelink. We need to drop everything we're doing and get rid of the lifelink. And
not even Rurgthar.
Just
Whatever
the
gives him
orb.
lifelink.
And I'm like, destroy it somehow. And then he's like, okay, I'm going to Noxious Revival it. And then he draws it, he replays it, he goes to equip, and Brad's like, Assassin's Trophy. And then it's back in his graveyard, and then he's like, Regrowth. And it's just like, you can not let him have life.
We're all just trying our best to make sure Alex dies with us, and
he needs to feel the
he will
pain.
never allow it.
Oh, man. Yeah, and that's like one of the most responsive Gruul decks that you might find. There's like Tybalt's Trickery, Guttural Response, plays...
You play Jeska's Will in that deck?
Yes, I do.
Chaos
Good
Warp.
card.
Chaos Warp. Play
Beast Within.
Beast Within. There's a couple of other like straight up interaction pieces.
Yeah. Do you have a deck list online?
I do.
Okay. I'm gonna put it in the comments or description or whatever.
Yeah.
Tell him about that 6-mana legendary artifact that you used against me that one time.
6. Oh yeah. It plays, because the deck is kind of like a passion project for me. It has a lot of cards that you might cut for something better or something more synergistic, but they're pieces I like and pieces that are just kind of goofy and reminded me of like Commander in the old days, before a lot of pushed cards. So I play like things like Mindslaver just in case someone else is doing better than me and I have to stop that.
I forgot you played that.
Yeah, I pulled it against Kyle one time. I top decked it and it saved the game because I was able to take Kyle's next turn, cast like 3 of his own board wipes to clear his board.
Yeah, that's a very roundabout way of taking an extra turn.
Yeah,
That's nuts.
And it just goes right back to them. It doesn't even be like, oh, that person takes an extra turn after this. No, it just goes right back to
me.
you.
Yeah, it's like 2 extra turns. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the deck plays like a ton of fast mana.
Mhm.
So sometimes I can play Rurgthar in turn 2, and people like just ramping, like playing Fair Magic and taking 6 for their troubles is
Yeah,
it's rough.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess now, would either of you like to?
Right, I'll let you go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my number one pet deck, and the one that I enjoy playing the most and probably do play the most again these days, is what I call a 5-color Blink Shenanigans deck. I've mentioned the card Siege Rhino a few times
Oh, what?
already.
What?
What's that do?
What does that do?
Yeah, what's that?
All right,
What's that
so
card?
Siege Rhino, for 1 black, white, green,
Okay,
you get a 4/5 with trample.
seems good.
It's already
rate.
good.
Yeah.
So he has more text.
There's more.
There's more. He reads one of the best texts in all of Magic the Gathering, in my opinion. When Siege Rhino, quote unquote, enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life.
Not target.
Each.
And it's not even
And
damage.
In
It's also-
Commander, you have usually 3 opponents.
Mhm.
So that's a 9 life swing to your opponents, and, just a little bit for you. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I've mentioned that that was one of my favorite cards when I first started getting into Magic. So, one of my passion projects was how can I make what was once a $30 rare, now a 15-cent bulk rare, into the best card in Commander. And I found that best with how can I just have him enter the battlefield as many times as possible. So it's a 5-color Siege Rhino Blink deck that originally started as a 4-color Blink deck, but then I realized red was like really cool.
That's pretty good.
Because I get cards like Impact Tremors, which is like a backup sort of win con / chip damage thing. And I also get access to one of my favorite cards and most degenerate cards in all Magic, Dockside Extortionist, which combos really well with one of my other favorite cards, Teamer Sabertooth. So once you get all the mana you need, if you don't have Siege Rhino, you draw your deck with cards like Baleful Strix and Wall of Omens, stuff like that. Play all the tutor spells in the entire world, Vampiric, Demonic, Enlightened, Mystical, Worldly, all those shenanigans, until I can just kill everybody with Siege Rhino.
Yeah.
Just like we did in Consploit Standard.
Yeah. With this deck, you've cycled through a couple commanders.
Yes.
Because it was 4-color originally, but now it's 5-color.
Yeah, it started as a Traxa.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play Obzan, and because obviously Siege Rhino. And at the time, blue for Blink, and just in general, way better of a support color than red was. And then I was like, Dockside Extortionist exists. How do I make that a thing? And then Golos got printed, and I enjoyed it a lot when that lasted. Because, you know, a 5-color commander with an ETB effect that when you have a lot of mana, helps you out.
Yeah.
Great little commander. Combo players screwed us over for all the guys who just wanted to have fun with it, like me.
Yeah.
And now it has since been changed to the Prismatic Bridge because having an enchantment in your command zone is fair magic.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
And I don't play any Planeswalkers in that deck, so I'm just trying to top deck one of the like 12, maybe 13 creatures in my deck that will help me in the given scenario.
My favorite part about you playing the Prismatic Bridge is you can get into the types of cards you play, but it's a very expensive deck list.
Yeah.
A lot of promo cards, a lot of premium cards. So you double sleeve it, and you have smoke inners. So the front is clear, the back is
really
much darker.
Cool. I did not know that was a thing.
That's really cool. Obviously, the Prismatic Bridge is a 2-sided card. But you have the smoke, so you don't even care about the other side.
I'm never casting a Sika. I don't think I've ever casted a Sika ever.
It's just a 3-mana dork because you don't play like any other legendary.
It's a dead card.
Yeah. I do the same
normally.
I'm not on the same wave as Brad doing actual Magic stuff. The Prismatic Bridge deck that I play, where I do not ever cast Eska, is just like putting Cultivator Colossus on the battlefield. The deck does one thing. It's very bad. But it's the same kind of like you have the card doing the one thing that it does, but your deck does so much more. You know, you're able to actually win the game, I think.
What's so cool, one of my favorite plays I've ever seen you do in that deck was turn 1, you played like a shock, but it had green in it, and on your upkeep the next turn you cast Worldly Tutor. It just got a Baleful Strix. And sometimes that's just all you need.
A lot of the times I'll do that with like Overgrown Tomb, where I'll have it enter untapped, use it for Worldly Tutor. It's also a black. I'll usually have a blue source in my hand, have it enter, play the Baleful Strix turn 2, and just...
Yeah. It just starts it. Even if it's like cycle. 1 card here, 2 cards. Like, by the end of the game, that card is drawn in more than 7 cards.
Yeah, at least.
I'm assuming you're on all fetches, all shocks. Do you have any triumphs?
No triumphs.
No triumphs. No. Everything enters untapped?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Basics. The only uncolored or like colorless lands I play are Reliquary Tower and Alchemist Refuge.
Yeah.
No Ancient Tomb?
No Ancient Tomb.
That doesn't cast the Prismatic Bridge.
It's colorless, yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And a lot of my cards in the deck like have multicolored like casting costs or like double pip casting costs.
True.
And like a lot of the time I don't want to deal with colorless mana. And I've been meaning to go back and like change the land base a little bit because I used to play Eldrazi Displacer and I needed that colorless mana. And now I play Emil instead, which is
Just functionally
better Eldrazi Displacer because it can go infinite with Dockside Extortionist or even Peregrine Drake if you wanted to. So I don't really need the colorless sources outside of Reliquary Tower for infinite hand size. But other than that, like even sometimes Soul Ring gets me in trouble. Like I still want to be able to cast Prismatic Bridge relatively early on if I need to.
And in that situation, Soul Ring does nothing for you.
Yeah, and like cards like Baleful Strix that require 2 colors, like early on in the game, you know, I need those colors.
It's like a plus B where you have like Soul Ring casts your signets and signets casts your commander and everything else.
Yeah.
But Soul Ring just kind of doesn't do much without the thing you need for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I still had Golos, you know, land into Soul Ring at the Mind Stone would feel really good. But
you can't have that, Brad.
You can't have it.
Not in the game store.
Godforsaken combo players.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of them technically still, but at least I have fun.
I guess.
You're comboing with a 15-cent card. It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah. we can get into it in another day perhaps, but the game just has to end. You know, it's okay to have the game end. There's a lot of me and Kyle got into it one night.
We talked about it for approximately an hour about one Magic card, and it turned into a whole philosophy. It was insane.
It's good stuff, and I still firmly believe that winning the game and ending the game are something you should strive to do. In my hottest take.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Normalize not playing one game for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Normalize it.
See,
play 3 games in 3 hours.
Not getting into it too heavy. Just want a quick aside. I've recently begun getting into CEDH, which is an ideal of having quick games that are the most
laser focused and what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent and pushed. Yeah, like stuff like that. It's just the format to have the same ideology of the game needs to end quickly, and I'm going to include all of the most broken stuff to get to that point that's allowed.
So here's the thing, like CDH is a quick format in that it takes less turns, but I just went to a CDH tournament in February.
Yeah.
Turns 1 through 5, they take like 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
All the responses.
Totally. It's not a quick format. It is just a format that can be quick.
Yes.
Yeah, it has the capacity to end in 1 to 2 turns, which is a build around. Like you need to accommodate for that.
Yeah, like normal like commander games, like a lot of the times I find like 10 to 12 turns, unless you're playing like higher power level decks. Like CEDH, it's like a lot of times turn 5, that's a long game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's crazy is the stack just gets so over flooded all the time. And like you can have a battle over a Ristic Study because it's that powerful. And just like before you know it, one turn is taking 10-15 minutes because it's like response. Oh, okay, I'm gonna do response. And it's like
well, that's the thing, though, is that's not unique to CEDH in particular. Like, we were just playing that one time with Josh, and I resolved a Lurin, and the rest of the turn took 20 minutes because everyone had a full hand of creatures.
You know the story starts good when it starts with a Lurin.
Yeah, no, that was a great game. But anyway, like CEDH is a good metric for like how the format would be if it weren't all about like I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like I feel like Commander that isn't CDH is around like testing and having fun and being the
serious,
the
competitive,
the non-competitive format, which is what competitive CDH stands for. But we often consider like I don't know players' feelings, which isn't a bad thing. I'm not saying that that's not something you shouldn't do. In CDH, it's all about like choosing the correct move, which sometimes isn't the emotionally kind move. My opponent, Vampiric tutored on a Malta 3 on their first turn. They went to go put a land on top of their deck, and I made them mill it.
That's messed up.
It was not cool, but it was very fun.
We are
What's so
playing
funny is,
to
like,
win.
It is when it's the play, it's the play.
Yeah. Anywho,
Yeah.
that aside, moving on. I think Kyle, did you want to?
Oh, of course. Okay, so we are gonna go back to our roots. So I started playing 60 card with Brad, and I really, really, really liked Mono Black Devotion. This was back when we used to play during study hall and lunch in the cafeteria.
Yes, sir.
We would be sitting with like 10, 12 of our friends just like at the table, and they're just doing their own thing, and me and Brad like got like the lunches.
Scarfing down lunch.
We got chicken sandwiches.
As much as possible in these 40
We're trying to fit in
minutes.
as many games as possible, and you know that we weren't playing with playmats.
No.
It was just right on the
We
table.
had sleeves, but no playmats.
It was just right on the table.
Classic.
And like we got Gnarled Scarhide, we got Mogus' Marauder, Gary, just all of it.
Gary, one of the best cards ever printed.
So good. Gary will come up again. Coming up, he is one of my favorites. He has a lot of sentimental value to me. Fast forward into college, still playing 60 card. Haven't played Commander yet. I come back from Spain in 2017, and me and Alex got an apartment together. It was very, very fun. And this was when we really started to play Magic, or at least I did. My boy Ryan here was like, Kyle, I know you want to get into Commander. So he made me a mono black Gonti Commander deck.
Gonti is sick.
Yeah.
And it was just like the coolest thing in the world. It's like, I can have your cards. I can have more options. I can have a second hand. What's so cool is when Gonti leaves, you can still cast those cards with a mana of any color. Like, they just stay there. And the first thing, one of the very first cards I ever got off of Gonti was a counterspell. You're telling me I'm playing mono black and I counterspell? Absolutely so much fun. Just ridiculous. And you can get board wipes. And what's really cool is you face, like, I don't want to say like a combo deck, but you can pull out like a piece. Like a quick sidestep. This one time I was playing a World Spine Worm combo deck, and Brad pulled out a Gonti and he got the World Spine Worm.
And then you scooped like 30 seconds later because you're like,
I just can't do anything. I just can't do anything. That's
Oh, it was World Spine combo?
yeah.
It was World Spine combo.
Yeah, okay.
He was playing like, it was like
Atla, right?
Atla.
Yeah.
Just like sack an egg, get a World Spine Worm, and you just sack it again, and it shuffles into the library because that's the shuffle clause. Get an egg, and it's World Spine Worm. But the whole deck was just like enter the battlefield good stuff. It was like enter the battlefield, draw a card. It played Underworld Connections. It just played a lot of really fair Magic cards. And what was cool was you played like Rescue from the Underworld. You sack a creature, and then you destroy a creature, and then you bring the creature you sacrifice back. Is that how that card works? You were the one that put it in for me.
Rescue from the Underworld, you sacrifice a creature and they both come back to the battlefield a turn later.
Boom, yeah. And that reuses Gonti's in a battlefield trigger.
Yeah.
What was really cool, too, was back in 2015. I actually think that we started playing Magic when Core Set 2015 came out. Because
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, because Cons was the first time we played at DJs. Remember the little baby card store?
Yeah, we had to play on like cardboard.
We had to play on cardboard on top of comic boxes.
Cardboard on cardboard on cardboard.
But back when they had those little intro decks where they had like that one really powerful card on the front, it was Indulgent Tormentor. What was really important was it was a demon. And demons were my first creature type that I ever really was just like, wow, I want to play demons. And everyone has like a life cycle of a deck. You know, it started one place, went to another place, did this, did that. And we transitioned Gonti to Demon Tribal. We had like 20, 25 demons, but what's really cool about them is they cost nothing, like 4 or 5 mana. They're always a 6/6. They always have flying, and they always just do something stupid. One of the coolest demons I ever played, which is really counterproductive, I don't think anyone plays it. It's Abyssal Persecutor. It's a 4 mana flying trample 6/6. that says your opponents can't lose the game.
Oh, that card's a classic.
That card's good.
Love that card.
Good demon.
Desecration Demon, 6/6 flying for 4 mana. At the beginning of combat, your opponents may sacrifice a creature to tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it.
Yo, Runescar Demon?
Your Runescar Demon, end of the
demon.
battlefield, go get any card. In that deck, it just says get a board wipe or get another demon.
Yeah. Master of the Feast.
Master of the Feast, we're talking about pet cards in an episode in the future.
Yeah.
Master of the Feast. 3 mana 5/5 flyer?
Yeah.
What do you do against that? You're playing 60 card, you have 4 of them.
I'll tell you what. Nothing.
You don't do nothing. But yeah, so I got the pre-con. Was it 2012 pre-cons?
No,
The Planeswalkers? The first time they ever did Planeswalkers?
Commander?
Commander.
yeah.
It was Commander product.
That was 2013.
The first time they did Planeswalkers, 2014.
Yes, 2014. So I got the Omnixilus pre-con, and then I started to combine Gonti into that. Had all these demons, all these cool cards, but Omnixilus was like the coolest card ever because he had Extort on him, and he had Make a Demon. You make a demon to protect him. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That deck has since it survived for a long time. It was a lot of fun, and then we remade it into Gonti. And we added so many more like newer cards. It became a lot more focused. It became a lot more competitive. It was awesome. But the journey has since cultivated into my favorite demon of all time. It's Omnixilus the Fallen. He says landfall. He's a 3/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, put 3/1/1 counters on it, and target opponent loses 3 life. So the whole deck,
Good card.
is just fetch lands.
Mm-hmm.
Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, all the new Capenna fetches, traditional fetches, like the slow fetches. What is it, Flooded Grove or something?
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you play things like Wound Reflection. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they already lost this turn. Like Crucible Worlds, you just play everything. It's mono black landfall, and it is in my oldest sleeves, and it's one of my oldest decks I've ever built.
I was wondering what Gonti ended up as, and it took me, I kind of like halfway through you were talking about it, I realized, that's kind of the legacy of
It's had a journey.
Yeah.
It was my first ever commander deck and one of my first ever things as sleeves, and it's since evolved, but it was from Ryan, and he's the one that got me into commander. We wouldn't be here today without Ryan.
That's crazy. You know, sometimes I forget about that. Like there's a whole different play group of people from Norwalk that I've built a ton of decks for.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized I've been doing that since since college.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been so many years. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
good stuff.
Good deck too.
Yeah.
I have piloted the Obnixilus Tron, I guess I'll call it. Obnixilus Tron. It's formidable. It's a deck to be reckoned with.
Does a lot of damage pretty quickly.
Yeah. My favorite play in the whole deck is just play Evolving Wilds, because they lose 6, you put 6/1 counters, and you have a 9/9
Yeah.
on turn 5. If they don't play removal and you suit it up with like any equipment, any protection, Rogue's Passage, like that's a lot of damage real fast. And then you play another land. Now it's a 12/12, and it just gets out of control.
And then that's just it.
Yeah.
That's
the
the
line.
deck. Mono black landfall.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan?
I'm actually going to take the opportunity to not talk about Commander for a second.
Ooh.
It's interesting because Commander is actually probably the format I play second to least these days, but behind Modern. I don't really play Modern, but I've been playing a lot of Pauper. And I'm not going to talk about a Pauper deck. I'm actually going to talk about a Legacy deck because Legacy was my format for a very long time. I found that the kind of barrier to entry of Modern was harder to get into than Legacy. And you'd be surprised because that format has a bunch of duels, but the deck that I was playing had none duels and no fetches and no force of will. And you're probably thinking, is that good? I don't know, maybe. Go ahead.
Can you define the Legacy format, asking for a friend?
Yes. Legacy is everything ever. It's all sets, all cards, except for a banned list. The difference between Legacy and Vintage is Vintage has a restricted list where you can play any card like Black Lotus and all the mocks and stuff, but you're restricted to only playing one in your deck. So a lot of vintage decks look like, you know, the Power 9 plus a whole bunch of other broken cards that you can play 4 of.
Yeah.
Legacy is not that. It is just the most efficient 60 card format, I would say, where winning on turn 1 with Doomsday is not, you know, out of the question. You know, them holding up Force of Will and Daze with just an island in play after playing Ponder is a common play. The deck that I play, or used to, because I no longer play Legacy, was Eldrazi Aggro.
I know Eldrazi.
In 2015, there was a new set out called Oath of the Gatewatch. And previously, Eldrazi were categorized, they were just huge, giant spaghetti creatures.
Big dumb idiots.
Yeah, the biggest and the dumbest. And they are colorless creatures. They usually cost more than like 7. But Oath of the Gatewatch inverted your expectations and made good ones that cost 3 to 5. And that paired with almost every land that has ever tapped for 2 colorless made for a pretty formidable Legacy deck.
Yeah.
And one card that I actually included, this is a pet card of mine for this deck, has already been mentioned, Arboreal Grazer.
Card's crazy.
In what year was it? 2019 Modern Horizons 2 came out. Is that right? They printed Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth. And a common play that I would do is Yavimaya turn 1, play Arboreal Grazer, and put another land into play, which usually was Ayabugan. Now you're thinking, okay, you have 3 mana on turn 2.
That's a lot of mana.
It's
4 mana,
4,
right? Yeah.
because the Yavimaya lets you tap the Ayabugan for mana for green.
Is Ancient Tomb legal?
It is. So on turn 2, I'd have 6 mana, and I'd play Endbringer.
Yeah.
And just kind of take over the game from there with that.
My God.
And importantly, this was a sign of the times because it is now banned. Legacy Murktide region would play Ragavan. So they would go Mountain on turn 1, and I'd play a creature with 3 toughness, and they would just kind of, you know, either have a lightning bolt or die.
Have a lightning bolt or have a cry.
Yeah, have a milkshake, maybe reconsider. And this deck was just fast, like real fast, because everything tapped for either 2 or like 3 sometimes. And I would only ever need like 3 lands to play the game, which made this deck perfect for Once Upon a Time. As the first spell of the game, I would just get to look at the top 5 and grab whatever creature or land I was missing from my opening hand.
Yep.
And we were living in the London Mulligan times where you always look at 7, so no matter what, my mulligans always are like 12 cards, and everyone else is just kind of eating that. What else was there?
Did you play the classic Eldrazi Mimic Reality Smasher?
I did for a while.
It's really powerful.
It is. I found that it was good on turn 1, and then every other turn it was like pretty medium. Because Mimic just kind of is a 2 mana 2/1 until you're ahead. It's like a win more card.
Yeah.
The common thing during Eldrazi Winter was play Ayavugan turn 1 and 3 Mimics, or up to 3 Mimics as best as you could. And then on turn 2 you go Eldrazi Temple and a Simian Spirit Guide, the monkey that makes a mana. And you play Reality Smasher and hit for 20 on turn 2. Is that fair? No. They banned that.
Which part did they ban? Was it...
They banned Ayavugan.
Ayavugan.
Yeah, first. Monkey has since been banned as well, which...
Simian Spirit Guide.
Not okay.
I think that's whack.
It is.
Unban the monkey.
Yeah.
They're banning the wrong monkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The monkey that isn't banned is making them money, which is...
Free the homie Simian Spirit Guide.
I'm saying.
It's just 1 red.
It's 1 red, sometimes it's 2, and sometimes you have Blood Moon on turn 1, which does win you the game. But that's okay also, because as previously stated, sometimes winning the game is just okay, especially in a format based around winning and competitiveness. Yeah, we're not talking about Commander with these idealisms. I'm trying to win the game and punch you in the head. But I've since stopped playing Legacy because it is not a regulated format as much as I would like it to be. There's a lot of new cards that come out, and Wizards is just like, wow, those guys they can just kind of play with those cards, huh? That's fun. Have fun with your weird format, you guys.
Have fun over in that Legacy corner you guys like to hang out in.
Yeah.
Only the cool kids can come over here.
Yeah, and it's not like I even got bored with the format. People got bored. It was the people who owned duels and like Lion's Eye Diamonds, and they're looking at the new initiative deck or like Murktide being infinitely less money than everything else, and just kind of taking over and being, disenchanted with the format, which is tough. But then, you sell all your cards and you buy a new car and you drive away into the sunset.
Or you just start playing CDH.
Yeah, that's it. You keep one of everything that you need, and then you get into the format that is CEDH.
Speaking of buying a car, I have a really, really good Ryan Tyler story.
Oh.
Do you know about this story?
Go ahead.
So this one time, Ryan gets a flat. And I can't remember where he got it, but he got a flat tire, and he's like, man, I need a new tire. This is going to be a lot of money. And he's been sitting on a lot of really powerful Magic cards for a long time. And he's just got a $500 Gaia's Cradle. So this man sells the Gaia's Cradle, fixes his tire, and I go up to my mom, and I'm just like, Mom, you remember how Ryan, like got a flat tire? And she's like, yeah, like, whatever happened? And I was like, he sold a piece of cardboard.
Traded cardboard for rubber.
Fix the problem.
Traded cardboard for rubber.
The actual real thing, it was a little more...
it was more mechanical.
A little more mechanical. It wasn't a flat tire. It was a dead alternator. And it did cover it. The cradle did end up covering it.
Did you just trade it at the counter? So like, here, it's in a top loader.
Yeah, the guy at the auto body shop was like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, I need one of these."
Like, oh yeah, it takes out a binder.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. It's not uncommon for me to hoard a bunch of expensive cardboard and B, sell it for things that I need. I traded a Masterpiece Steam Vents to Alex for a bike when I wanted a bike. You remember that?
When did you get a bike?
From you.
When did I have a Masterpiece Steam Vents?
I gave you I gave you the Steam Vents.
Brad, right?
I gave you some other thing.
Yeah.
Definitely some Masterpiece, because it was like $200. And you're like, this bike is in pretty good condition. Just, some cardboard for it, whatever.
No, I do remember that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I never gave you a bike.
Yeah. Well, not yet.
It was like my bike from like middle school, high school. I was like, it's been hanging up there for years. Yeah. And you're like, it's a nice bike. I could use a bike.
Yeah.
I'm not using it.
and I still use it. It needed a tube, one tire, and it was perfect.
Perfect.
I recently actually sold all of my masterpieces to buy the camera that's recording this, which was a very worthy investment because we're doing this now, and also
it's very exciting.
It's a lot of work opportunity too.
Exactly.
Which I've dabbled pretty heavily into the finance side of Magic, which is a kind of a beast in its own. There's a lot of weird things about the Magic finance community that is questionable, in my opinion. It's such a weird little thing that doesn't exist in many other places, like the reserve list specifically.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that is like a anomaly in collection and financing things. And it leads to a lot of inflated prices, which leading back into the barrier to entry of Legacy. I mentioned Modern is expensive, but Legacy is way expensive. But because it is a expensive format, people want to play it. What do people do? Some stores, not all, allow proxies. So you get 10 proxies. That's that covers your duels and your Force of Wills or whatever else you don't want to spend money on. and then you can actually play in tournaments to get money towards buying these things. And I feel like it's a good, important thing for us to talk about quickly, the fact that we're all pretty proxy positive.
Relax.
Yeah. Which is, you know, the eternal formats understand that they'd rather have people playing the game than, like, needing to invest in the game and not being able to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've recently bought a ton of proxies.
I don't really go to tournaments. I don't really go to like LGSs that often. Like I support my LGS. Like I get my sleeves and I get my deck boxes from them, but I don't really like sit down and play. And for us, we really just like to play together, and we do a lot of deck building, as you guys will soon see. Like I built 2 decks and finished them and ordered them yesterday. We play tested it a little bit and then boom, ordered it. And like for me, proxies is just it gets rid of the barrier to entry, you know. And it's like I want to play this really cool card, but it costs $60. My biggest philosophy when it comes to proxies, I tell my mom this all the time. I'm all in. I'm gonna get this deck. I'm gonna get 4 of $20 cards, or I'm gonna get $100 card. It's gonna be great. And 2 weeks from then, I'm done with the deck. What am I going to do? Go through the whole process of selling the card back, lose out on $20, $30, and then start the whole process over again. And for me, because the homies are okay with it, I really like proxies.
Yeah.
What about you, Alex?
We've really, I guess, sort of like this end of the couch, I think we've only started doing proxies recently. And it's great. I mean, one, you get a ton of really talented artists that either make art for proxies or like a lot of the custom framing and stuff around the cards is really just gorgeous. And I actually saw a clip of Richard Garfield online the other day. It was years and years ago. Richard Garfield made Magic. He was sort of like the lead of the team at Penn State that developed the game and created the game. And he was saying that he's like, yeah, I think $20 is reasonable for like the top expense of a card. Like outside of foils, promo cards, that stuff, like just a regular old good meta Magic card should be $20. Like $50, anything more than that, he's like, I don't believe this game should ever get to that point. And for like a dozen different reasons, we're here now. And especially, I think our play group, in the last couple of years, we sort of have jumps in skill level and deck building level where like we'll kind of stagnate. We'll play a lot of the same stuff for a little while, but then like over the course of a year, we'll really jump in how powerful we're making decks, how synergistic and good we're making decks. Like we started playing duels recently. And we started putting duels in lists and a lot of like really push cards in lists because we're getting better and we can understand how to use those cards to their full potential now. And I don't want to drop thousands of dollars on decks. Like I don't like there's just no reason for money.
Like no.
Like this game is like for the people in a way. Like we should be able to use our creativity to make a deck, and finance should not come into that. Like it should be a product of our skill, our passion, and like money just should not have a place in that conversation. And I think proxies are an amazing way to get to that end goal.
Play the game. End of the day, you want to play the game, and that barrier to entry, it's just get into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I personally think like in the realm of proxies, like especially within the last like 3 to 5 years, like we've just been exposed to just so much Magic the Gathering content. That I've personally found it very hard to just keep up with all the new tech, all the new really good cards, because they're printing so many good cards, like in terms of like the number of cards they're printing, the number of powerful cards they're printing,
just so
the
fast.
sheer amount of product and power level that they are printing in these current day and age is just a topic for a different day, to be honest. But they're marketing the game to be like an easy game to pick up that everybody should play. And they're making it very difficult by making all these products and making all these just gas cards that they're making people spend all this money on. And so proxies, like you guys have said, give that opportunity to people to make new decks, to try new decks and to just do whatever they really want to in Magic to figure out what kind of Magic player they really like want to be. And so like personally, I still have decks that are all real cards that I personally will want to keep real cards because like my OCD is just that way. And so, but like nothing is stopping me from personally being like, all right, this is the deck I want to build. I know this deck is going to be $900 in paper minimum, but is it going to be a gas deck? Yes. Am I going to play it a lot? Probably. I will spend $30 to get it in proxy.
Exactly.
No issue.
I don't know the exact amount, but when I recently built Alex a deck for his birthday. I put it into tapped out. I think it was like 1.2.
Yeah.
It was 1.4 or something.
Oh my god.
But I mean, there were some banger cards, and they're like Doubling Season, Concurrent Crossroads, stuff like that.
Plus, me personally, I have double sleeved 3 decks ever. One was a Yidris Commander deck. I double sleeved it because it was the first deck I played like every fetch in the colors, you know, all this stuff. And that was at the point where they were not reprinting fetches. So like minimum, like I don't know what the cheapest color combination for a fetch is, but it was still around like $50-$60 at least.
I think Arid Mace is like $8 now.
Red, white.
Yeah, it's
so much more
insane.
accessible.
Yeah.
But I sleeved that. I sleeved a CDH deck I built recently, and I sleeved my Pioneer deck because a similar situation. It was like, I lied. Actually, I've double sleeved 4 decks. My Bantu deck,
That deck
because
is crazy.
that deck is like $1,000 plus. Because if you're gonna foil out a deck, 50 cards is a lot cheaper than 100.
I can attest to that.
Yeah.
But I just double sleeving 100 cards, you just create a monster. It falls over. It's hard to shuffle. I don't enjoy the practical nature of like handling 100 double sleeved cards or just worrying about the cards within those sleeves. Like if
That's hard
something
to shuffle.
slips,
Yeah.
it is. And I can buy even like a proxy copy of a $300 card for cents, or a very pretty version of a $300 card for a couple cents. And I don't have to stress out about like, am I ruining the card? Am I destroying my investment? Or am I like dampening down my time playing by the inconvenience that it causes?
Right. We are actually coming up right on an hour. I don't know. I feel like that's a good spot to kind of.
We got so much to talk about, but we could
Yeah.
set up topics and go for it.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far, I guess subscribe or follow or whatever format.
Hit all the buttons.
Hit all the buttons.
All the buttons. Like, comment. Tell us your favorite trading card. It doesn't have to be Magic. It cannot be Yu-Gi-Oh. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh slander account. Sorry.
Not welcome here. Everybody's welcome.
The cards are so small.
Yeah.
That's my gripe.
Yeah.
I need glasses.
Yeah.
I can't see without my glasses.
I love playing Yu-Gi-Oh and losing before I play any cards.
True.
That's the format. That's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
That's vintage.
And that's why we don't play that.
But yeah, for real. Thank you so much.
Thanks y'all for coming.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Deuces.